This episode and the entire season is brought to you by California Cryo Bank, the #1 sperm bank in the U.S. Use code LOVEISLOVE for a free level 2 subscription to their donor catalog.
Love is love on the Queer Family Podcast. Love is love.
Confronting my own fear surrounding stepping up. You know, it's interesting. It's really interesting. And when you're faced with, adversity, like how will you really react? Well, here we go.
Here it is.
I've never had to face with it. I've lived in liberal places my whole life. I've never had to deal with this as far as I knew. And now I'm realizing I'm not as strong as I thought I was. I need to step it. You know what I mean? Like I have to really.
Or is it you're not as strong as you thought you were, or you are?
Okay, I'll take it that way. I like that way that you said it, Jaymes. Mm-hmm. And also it's super scary.
It is. It really is scary. And I think, I want people to know what we're up against. And I don't want people to only think about the doom and gloom, but it is important to know what's going on in your school district, to know that this is freaking Chelsea, like of all places. So to understand that it's not about being in our progressive bubbles anymore, because I don't think a progressive bubble truly exists anymore, because we're seeing this rhetoric and these policies in most progressive places.
Welcome to the Queer Family Podcast, y'all. The show all about family, but with gay. My name is Jaimie. I am your gay host. And you, my beautiful friends, are tuning into the show that highlights, uplifts, celebrates, and normalizes LGBTQIA+ families in all of our beautiful identities. And you are also tuning in to what I call the Pride Extravaganza, the second annual Pride Extravaganza. You have to say it that way. If you don't say it that way, it doesn't count. What is the Pride Extravaganza, you ask? Well, it is a celebration of Pride Month. For the entire month of June, I am giving you double the episodes of Queer Family Goodness. So you're going to get an episode every Monday and also every Thursday, you lucky, lucky ducks. And here we are with another one. And this one's a good one, y'all. This one, I have been very excited to share this interview, this chat. I had the honor of sitting down with Jaymes Black, the CEO of Family Equality. Family Equality is an organization that is working hard to make strides in our country for LGBTQIA+ families. They are a wonderful organization doing the work that really, really needs to be done. And so we spend some time talking a little bit about James's story. And we do go into depth more about James' story in last year's episode in the Pride Extravaganza, where we talk about James's family. But we do give a little overview of their family and how their family came to be. And we go into all the wonderful things that Family Equality has done recently in the name of our families. Go, Family Equality, go. And then we get into a discussion that I've been dying to talk to Jaymes about, because here's the thing, and y'all have heard me talk about this quite a bit recently. All the things that Family Equality is out there in the world fighting against in all parts of our country these things have made their way to NYC, and not only NYC, but to the part of NYC that I live in, which houses Chelsea and Greenwich Village and Hell's Kitchen, which are, the home of the modern day LGBTQIA+ civil rights movement. There's a lot of history in this neighborhood, in this area where I live, and my children's school district is in this area. Their school is literally in Chelsea. And this wild stuff that happens in the rest of the country has actually made its way not only to NYC, but to my school district and to the parents in my school district. And not just that, the parents in my school, the parents who I call friends. I have spent the past few weeks defending the rights to equality of my community way more than I care to even talk about recently with people that I know and trust. and love, and it has been wearing me down. And I have been, you know how I've been talking to y'all about how tired I am, and oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. There's so much going on. My kids had this show that finally ended last night. Oh my God, it was amazing. But they were in this big, huge show, and it took up a lot of our time. And I'm doing the Pride Extravaganza, which takes up a lot of time too. And I did this last year, and I kept thinking to myself, I don't remember feeling this burnt out. I don't remember it being this much. I don't remember it being so stressful. And then I'm finally realizing, you know what it is? All of this stuff that's happening in my school district, there's been some anti-trans resolutions introduced that a lot of people believe in, that I'm shocked at. And I've been, as I just said, arguing against them a lot recently. And I think it's all of that that has been weighing on me so heavily and taking up all of the emotional space in my brain and in my body. And I think that this is why I'm feeling so exhausted. And you're going to hear about it with Jaymes, and it kind of turns into like a strategy session and what do we do? How do we mobilize? And, which is good and necessary. And since I spoke with Jaymes, there has actually been an update. I did go to another meeting of the school. It's basically an elected parent committee who these are the ones who have introduced an anti-trans bill that me and the entire trans community, well, a huge part of the trans community has been showing up time and time again and protesting against. And there was another meeting, and at this meeting, the trans community showed up, as they have for the past 3 meetings. But not only did the trans community show up, this time, some folks on the other side of this argument showed up and spoke. And there were actually children on both sides speaking, teenagers on the non-trans side, and there were some young trans girls who spoke. And some really, really hurtful things were said. I'm sorry, I'm going to tear up. Every time I talk about this, I get very upset. Some really hurtful things were said by the people on the other side. And the trans community, it got heated. It got kind of ugly. It got upsetting. And I'm going to say one thing right now. There's a couple things I want to say about this. I have never been looked at by people with such disdain, such mocking disdain, these people who were on the other side looking at us as we were protesting. I've never been looked at that way. And I realize how privileged that is and how privileged that sounds. And I can't believe that people have to experience that in just their day-to-day lives. Looks like the looks I got at this meeting. I left that meeting with such an awful, awful feeling in my heart and in my soul, just about the state of humanity. And then, my community, in talking about some of the people in my community, the parents in my community are talking to me about how they were really turned off by the way that trans people behaved. And I cannot explain to you how angry I am and how fired up I am. We have a long way to go. I guess that's my point here. And I'm going to continue talking about this, and I'm going to continue speaking up, and I'm going to continue protesting this awful, vile hatred that comes at anyone, especially young children, especially our community. I'm sorry this seems so scattered, but it is taking up all of the emotional space in my brain right now. And so this conversation with Jaymes was actually really helpful, and I hope y'all find it helpful, and I hope y'all get something from it. And it's Pride Month, and Pride began as a protest, and I think that our fight is definitely not over. And that makes me so sad sometimes. I'm sorry, I don't want to cry. Anyway, enjoy this episode. And if there's anybody out there who has been harmed or feels scared to show up as their authentic self, my heart goes out to you. And I love you all. And happy Pride and shit. Let's fight, y'all. Damn, something's wrong with people. I don't know. Also, I love you, and love is love. And I'm so glad to be a member of this beautiful and diverse community of souls. Allies alike. I love you too. All right. All right. It's time to roll that tape. Please take a listen. And I'm excited. Next week, I will also be speaking to Sarah Kate Ellis, the CEO of GLAAD, about this exact thing as well. So this is not the end of this discussion. I'll tell you that much. Let's uplift, highlight, and normalize us. Here we go. All right. Helen, Beulah, Nicole, Jerson, everybody out there who helps me with this beautiful show. Please roll that tape.
Queer Family Podcast. Love is love.
Hi, Jaymes Black.
Hi, Jaimie.
I'm really excited to have you back on. There have been some changes, which we will get into. I feel like I'm talking with an old friend. That's how I feel right now. I'm very excited to see you.
Same, actually.
Yay! That makes me happy. And welcome to the Pride Extravaganza.
Woo!
Yeah, you have to say it like that. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. You know what? Without further ado, I think probably the listeners know who you are, but let's have you give your 30-second elevator pitch of who you are and why you're here talking to the Queer Fam Squad. Ready, set, go.
Hello, everyone. Happy Pride. My name is Jaymes Black. I use any and all pronouns, and I am the president and CEO of Family Equality. We are the leading national organization for LGBTQ+ families. And I'm here because I love talking about queer families. I have a queer family. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. And we're here to talk about how we continue to support queer families, especially in Pride Month, when I think we have lots of visibility and conversations that need to happen that maybe don't happen throughout the year.
Boom. You did that. You did that, Jaymes. You really did that. You packed a lot in there too. I'm impressed.
You tested me last year, so I've had like a year to get ready for this. Up all night, worried about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Someone is media trained. That's what that just told me. Listen, the work you do is so very important and really goes in line with the whole mission of my podcast, except you go in on a national level and you work on policy and you work to change things for the better for us. I just sit here and talk about everything that's wrong and what we have to do and the visibility we need. But you're making things happen and I appreciate you for that. And I think everybody needs to know who you are and who Family Equality is. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
This is big. This is exciting. So Jaymes, when I last talked to you, you went by a different name. Can we just go into that a little bit and get the story? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So this is my first Pride season as Jaymes Black.
Yeah.
When I was here so it's celebratory, let's celebrate. When I was here last year, I was using my birth name. I was using Stacey Stevenson, a name that I still honor. And actually someone, just the other day, I was talking with someone and they said, you have to keep honoring every part of your journey, every version of the person that you've been. And so if you are still okay with it, it's not about really eliminating Stacey, right, from your lingo, from sort of your life. It's about honoring who that person was or how far that person got me. So now that I can be authentically Jaymes Black. And I was like,
ooh, I love that.
Thank you for that, right? Because it's like sort of like there's a tension that happens, I think, when you change your name. But for me, Jaymes Black was a name that I've had with me for a very long time. And it was a name that I've had with me. And as I say to people, like in my heart and my soul, but I was not ready to use it for a myriad of reasons. Mm-hmm. Before I ever moved to nonprofit, the name was with me. And I remember that I got this bracelet made that said Jaymes Black on it. Huh. And when I was still in corporate America, and I would wear it every now and then I would start to think that, okay, they're on to me, so let's take it off. Oh. And my wife knew about this name, but I was not sure how I was going to step into this person, how I was going to step into my full identity. Then life happens. And I'll say that a series of revelations and sometimes tragedy pushes you to do the things that you know that you need to do. And my brother died suddenly last year.
I'm sorry.
And I decided that life is too short to not live authentically. And I decided to do that. And what that means for me is that Jaymes Black is me stepping into who I really am. It is why I use any and all pronouns, because I'm comfortable with all of them, always have been comfortable with all of them, but thought I had to check a box. It is me being loud and proud about being non-binary and genderqueer. It is me ensuring that I'm trying to be the highest version of myself at all times. And it's been a journey, but I have to tell you, it only took me 40 something years to figure it out. But that shouldn't matter. What matters
No.
now is that I feel that I am living the most authentic version of myself.
Talk about practicing what you preach, right? I mean, you're at this organization that is literally embodying everything you just said. And now your whole, with your whole being, you really do embody everything your organization stands for. And I think that
Thank
that
you.
is just absolute. I'm giving you snaps. Like, thank you.
Give
Yes.
give me all the snaps. And here's the thing: I think environment is important. And I wonder if, even with tragedy, if I were still in one of my first loves, corporate, where I really cut my teeth on leadership and built my career, if it would have taken me even longer. Because I think the other thing that I'm realizing is that talking to people like you and working with my incredible team, meeting folks like Rosie as well.
Yeah.
When you're around all these incredibly brave queer people every day, it gives you also the fuel and the strength and the courage that you need, that when that tragedy strikes you, like, it's time for me to live my authentic life.
Mm.
What do? You're like, man, I have this community behind me.
Yeah.
I have people like Jaimie and my staff and all these folks who are going to support me. Being around queer folks day in and day out has been revolutionary for me. I'm telling you.
Yes.
It really has, in terms of my own identity that I thought I had figured out.
Visibility matters so much. Representation. There it is. There it is. And thank you for mentioning me as one of your community.
Absolutely.
That felt special.
And your dancing videos? Come on.
Come on. Iconic. Yeah. But listen, you're an inspiration and I mean it. And I'm grateful to you for showing up and being your true authentic self, and then not being afraid to spread it through the world, through the country, and you did this. You already had a public persona, like you were known. So that takes a lot of bravery, I think, to step into it and own it like you did, like you are. And we all love you for it. I'm speaking for everybody in the country. That's what I'm going to do right now. Thank you. So can you give kind of an overview, because you talked about your family building journey on your last episode last year. Can we get like a bird's eye overview of how you built your family and, what it entails? Because, we all have different ways that our families come to us.
We all have different ways and different paths, and there's no right or wrong path.
Exactly.
It's all in how we choose to build our families. And my wife and I, after a myriad of attempts, as all of us do that, right? Like we try one form, we try this form. And so in terms of family building, and we adopted our boys via private adoption. And they were 6 weeks old when we adopted them. And we were aligned with or matched with an organization that was in, I believe it was Iowa of all places. And it was just like Iowa or Idaho of all places. And it was like, wow, is this a really inclusive organization that will work with us? And they did. And we were matched with their birth mother, brought them home at 6 weeks. And it is, it's been one of the most, I think, illuminating processes and journeys in my life, because again, one of those things that I thought that I had figured out was like, oh, I know how to be a parent. Like you figure it out as you go along is all I'm saying. But private adoption is the route that we ended up taking, because fertility didn't work. Foster to adopt did not work for us. And we were just about to give up when we were matched with this organization and brought our beautiful boys home. It's
a really beautiful story. If you want to hear the full story, y'all should go listen to James's previous episode. It's a really beautiful story how your boys came to you. And I met your boys at the Family Equality Gala. Was it a gala last year? And I'm just in awe that you can eat, like, because your boys are
gala, right?
What?
Was it Night at the Pier? I think, right?
Yes, Night at the Pier. And your boys are, how old are they? I think they're the same age as my daughter.
They're 9 now.
Okay,
they were 8 when you met them. They're 9 now.
Yeah, so my daughter's 10 now. And I'm just impressed that you are able to get them to dress up.
You know what? They low-key enjoy the dressing up.
It's amazing.
And they love wearing the fancy shoe. Well, not the fancy shoes. We let them wear tennis shoes, but they love all the dress up and they love the galas. And what's interesting is that I never anticipated that they would sit down and watch a program, but I've been in this organization, in this role for, can you believe it, over 3 years now, almost 3.5 years. And they sit at every gala, they sit and they listen and they ask me about my remarks before I go in. And what I've loved about this journey too is including my family in the work, like really including them in the work of family equality, and my children becoming mini advocates. And sometimes they're advocating because they love talking about it. Other times they may be advocating because for survival, right? To stick up for themselves and their families. I was in DC, right? I recorded last year. So I just moved, right?
Just moved, and you explained that part of the reason why you moved was because of the stuff you were facing in Texas, right?
Right, exactly. Our home state, yeah.
And how's it going?
We love it. We love the area. And what I'll say is that we are embracing the DMV, which is like the District of Columbia, Maryland, Virginia area, and have navigated multiple areas to see what works best for our family. But what we do know is that this is where we belong.
Yeah.
We love it. The kids are having a great school year. My God, school year is almost over. We are we're deep in the throes of fourth grade. It's almost over. So your daughter must be fifth grade.
Fifth grade and going into middle school.
Oh, word. Okay, my word.
And so
we were, exactly. To have two in fourth grade. And what I didn't understand is that all the sort of like dynamics and politics start in fourth grade. When I was in fourth grade, I'm a Gen Xer, so I don't think it did not start in fourth grade, right? Okay, but
we had we didn't know anything about social justice or social issues. No, are you kidding me?
Social justice, social issues, social media, no idea. So you blend all of that with being a child already and parenting kids. I guess our kids are what, Generation Alpha? Is that their
I don't even know. I think
they're called Alpha. Oh. And so parenting Generation Alpha has been a journey. It really has.
It is. And it just gets crazy. You're right. The whole, it starts in fourth grade. They start learning about the issues and they come home and they ask about them and you're having these conversations finally.
Yeah.
And it gets heavier in fifth grade, right?
I can't imagine.
And they have access to everything. Everything's at their fingertips.
Oh,
everything.
Word, I know. How do you lock down everything? Like we're locking down YouTube.
Yep. Oh, that went out of business.
Right?
Yeah.
All that. And then they'll go to school and their friend will show them something because their friend, their parents have allowed them to have a phone. So what they'll come home and they'll say, well, so-and-so's parents said that they could have an iPhone. Why can't we?
Oh my God, same. Oh my God, James, we are going through the same exact thing. Most of her close group, they have phones. They have iPhones. And we are trying to, our plan, and people are going to laugh, but our plan is to hold out till she's like 16 for a phone. I know. Everybody's going to laugh.
I'm not laughing at you at all. No. Because that's our plan too. And people have snickered at me.
It's so hard though, because every day.
Spend as much as you can, right? We want to protect their innocence as much as possible. But boy, are their friends getting phones earlier and earlier.
Oh my God.
And then they think it's something that is wrong with their parents. Like, oh, you won't let me have a phone?
Yep. Why are you so mean? Well, everybody else has one. Why don't you trust me? Like it really is. It's really a thing. And I'm going
to call you for support or just text you and say, what do I say? You've been through this. What's the script?
I wouldn't use me. I wouldn't use me as a guide at all because we're flubbing it up left and right. But our plan is to get her one of those. It's just the phone that we can track her because she's going to be walking to school. So we'll be able to know where she is and she can text and she can call. And there's no internet and it has like apps on it. I should know the name of this phone, but it's only apps that are approved for this particular phone and it's all child friendly. Yeah. I can't remember the name of it, but that's our plan. She is not going to be happy when she opens that box though. I'll tell you that much. She's like, Mom, what am I going to get for graduation?
You asked for a phone. And
right.
This is a phone.
She actually specifically says iPhone. So there is that. Issue.
Oh boy, they all want an iPhone. But as we're having this conversation, my assumption is that you also have queer folks and allies who watch this show, and I also hope that you have people who don't know their allies yet, but everyone has those conversations with their fourth and fifth graders.
Yes,
no matter their political leanings, no matter their religious leanings. It's one of the truths that I've been trying to get people to understand, that when you're thinking about understanding our families, And we are, two parents having a conversation around cell phone use, our plans, how challenging it can be to parent this generation.
Yep.
I just wish people would see that we all have the same experience. It's universal. Like
It's
parenting,
universal. Yes.
it's a universal experience. I think more people need to see that.
It's the Maya Angelou poem. We are more alike, my friend, than we are unalike. Right?
Yes.
That's it right there. God, brilliant, genius, Maya.
Absolutely.
But that, yes. And also that we have our nuanced differences as well, which just
Of
make
course.
us better than them. But I didn't say that.
You didn't say that at all. But you know what? I'm not making it a better than them thing. Jaimie said that. I didn't.
You can't say that. I could say
But
that.
I can't say that. But you know what? What I have realized is that my straight friends tell me this, is that it's easier for us to have conversations around inclusivity, identity
Yes.
with our children because we've been through it.
Yes,
We've been through
100%.
it.
And they, to a certain extent, have been through it because they're alongside us for the ride
They're
and they
alongside
love
us.
us.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of times I'll just say, well, remember when so-and-so asked you how you have two moms and how that made you feel? Well, let's apply that to this situation. And, you can have empathy here.
It makes it easier, and, the other thing, maybe we'll get into this later, but I just wanted to touch on this right now with the thoughts in my head, is that many of our straight friends who have queer kids are now trying to navigate this uncharted territory for them en masse, because I think you're seeing more Gen Z folks
because
that are kids that are
visibility and representation matters,
right?
and we're having more, right?
And not only are they needing to be, I think, wrapped in our arms as a queer community, or are we LGBTQ plus families? I get that from straight parents, but they're also realizing this, I think, sort of surprising fact about their experience, is that the privilege that they have is not being extended to their children.
Yes. Ooh, yeah.
How do you navigate that? And so now it's like it opens up an entire conversation that we weren't able to have before. Right. Because yes, I'm an ally, but sort of like I still have this privilege. Not that they were saying that, but I think people were still sort of walking around the world in that. Now, when someone messes with your kid in that way of their experience at schools, the bullying, all bets are off.
Now you get it.
Oh, no, now you get it. All bets are off.
Yeah. I never thought of that, actually. Thank you for bringing that point up. I never thought of from that perspective that they've never, their privilege has never made them have these thoughts or these feelings.
No, and you can call yourself an ally all day. And I honor our allies. I love our allies. And I'm talking a lot about allyship because I think we need them now more than ever.
Yes. But
there's also this different sort of lens of allyship, because now it's not about, I'm an ally because I have queer friends and queer family members. My children, like the little ones that I'm raising to be adults one day, that are in my care, that I love and nurture now, are being attacked. What does that feel like?
Ooh, and I want to come back to this because there's something happening in my school district here in Manhattan that really pertains to what you're saying right now. Yeah. And it's a personal thing that just happened amongst parents. And I want to circle back to this. But before we get into stuff that's happening here on my home front, I want to know what's happening in the family equality's home front and any new things that have taken place. What's going on? What's going on with family equality?
What's happening at family equality? Lots of great things. The first thing I want to say is this is not new, but I think something that should be shared is Family Week. And if for those who do not know, who are in the audience, Family Week is the largest single gathering of LGBTQ plus families in the world. Yeah. And this year is our 30th anniversary.
Oh
our 30th anniversary, Provincetown, Massachusetts, to have this 1 week of LGBTQ plus families convening in P-Town for a week of lobsters and well, my kids keep asking for lobster rolls. Maybe I don't know, everyone else does, but just fun, right? Beach time and family time. And it's when our kids can be around other kids who have queer parents. And for this to be our 30th anniversary, that's huge, because this event was started by 2, maybe 4 gay dads who were in P-Town for vacation 30 years ago. And they were like, it would be nice to have other families with us. Can we just have these dinners at our home? And those dinners over 30 years have grown into 1,600 people being in P-Town for a week.
I didn't know that.
yes, or 600 or so families. We have 700 families registered now, but 1,600 people were there last year. And now we are planning our 30th anniversary. If you have not attended it, if you can, especially in the New York, Boston area.
It's right here. I still haven't been able to every year. I can't wait.
You and your family would love it.
Oh my God. I know. And I love P-Town.
Oh,
And
T-Town
it's the
is great.
best. It's
Yeah.
so amazing.
So I wanted to talk about that because 30th year anniversary is great. And we have families from Berlin, from Paris, not Paris, Texas. That would be okay too. But they're literally coming from all over the country. And can you believe that there's not a single gathering like this in the world? There's other small gatherings, but there's nothing like Family Week. And I think there's nothing like P-Town.
No, there's not. It's all the way on the very tip of that little,
Exactly. I mean, it's where I feel my safest.
And
that's really important for our families today. It's always been important for our families, but even more so now, it's important for our families to go to these safe places. So I wanted to talk about that. So I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited. And I did not know that origin story. So thanks for sharing that. That's
Absolutely
amazing. Wow. Okay.
Something else that I think is, it's not, again, new, but we're expanding it, is this need to be a more inclusive organization. And what I mean by that is that the community, our organization should reflect the community we serve in many ways, but we should also ensure that we understand the experiences of all queer families, not just the ones who can afford to go to P-Town, not just ones who can afford to go to our galas. And how are we doing that? And we have this survey this program rather, called the Family Equity and Justice Program. And what we're doing is that we are having surveys, sending out surveys, doing roundtable discussions with queer families, mostly BIPOC, who live at or some live at or below the poverty line. And we want to understand their experiences so we can shape our programming to include everybody. And these are folks or even a community that have not always been or felt connected to the movement at large, or that their voices have been centered. And we can't do that. If we're going to be a family organization, that means that we support all families, whether you are in rural Mississippi or in New York, and whether you are in rural Mississippi, single lesbian mother trying to make it, or you are in a high rise in New York. That spectrum of families should end to end should be supported at Family Equality. So that survey and that the research and the community building that we're doing is going to be really important.
Doing the good work. There it is.
Definitely.
While I just sit and chat with people.
Your job is really important, to be quite honest.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
You're
playing.
giving us a platform, Jaimie.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. 100%. And what you are doing is extremely necessary and amazing. We'll be right back.
Queer Family Podcast.
Well, this seems like a nice time to stop for a second and talk about my sponsor, California Cryobank. California Cryobank is what I use to make my babies, and they have been proudly helping LGBTQIA plus families fulfill their dreams of parenthood for more than 45 years. They offer one of the largest selections of donors out there. They also provide free vial transfer to be all inclusive of us queers between partners, and so much more. Their customer service also, I'm just going to personal side note, is bomb. I used their customer service a couple times and they were so sweet and so wonderful. And I actually really do love California Cryobank, not just because they're a sponsor of mine. And I have a special promo code for you. You can get a free level 2 subscription to their donor catalog by going to cryobank.com and typing in code Love is Love. And then you're going to start shopping, and then you're going to make some babies, and then you're going to come talk to me about them. Okay, that's all I have to say. All right, enjoy. Love is love. Love is love. You can also use it for a discount on a level 3 subscription as well. So many choices. So many choices. Go make those babies. Okay, that's it.
Love is love.
There was like a big win in Florida.
There was a big win in
What
Florida.
happened?
And so a bit of the history, sometime after the Don't Say Gay bill was passed in Florida, we took Florida to the Department of Education to court. To make a long story short, because it was a lot of starts and stops, we won. And we just we reached a historic settlement. It was a really big win.
Yeah.
And we could not have done this without our partners. I don't know if you know who Roberta Kaplan is, but with her firm, Kaplan, Hecker, and Fink, and then also NCLR, the National Center of Lesbian Rights. Those were our lawyers and partners. And they fought and they worked and they strategized and they negotiated and it came out with a historic settlement. And we were the plaintiffs, Family Equality, along with students, some parents, teachers, and also with Equality Florida, some of our other partners. And it's huge, right? Because there have been 6 or 7 "Don't Say Gay" bills that have been passed in the U.S. Now,
It
people
spreads
might
like
say,
wildfire, right?
right? People could say, "Oh, that's not a lot." Well, even one is too much, right?
Yes.
Because what it was saying and what it was doing is ensuring that kids like yours and mine could not talk about their parents in the classroom. And now, even though the law it's still there, it still stands. This settlement means that kids can say gay or trans in the classroom, that teachers will not be fired for having a picture of their spouse in the classroom, that the gay straight student alliances are back. It's doing some important things to show our community that we're going to show up, we're going to keep fighting, and that they matter.
Yeah.
And I hope that what happens and what our partners were able to achieve in Florida can be a model for the rest of the country, because it's important. And I'll tell you, we had a lesbian couple from Iowa contact us last year, and they wanted to know where they could move because their child was in the classroom one day talking about his 2 mothers, and the teacher walked up to him and said, you can't talk about your mothers here, your family. You can't talk about your family here.
Oh my God.
So I want to give some people perspectives, oh, don't say gay. Like, what is it? Does it really mean anything?
Do you think it's really going to affect you?
Is it really going to affect people? What does it look like in work, in practice, and doing what the legislators are trying to prevent us to do? It means that a child who's just talking about his 2 mothers, as children do, will be told by its teacher that he cannot. Can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine. And how heartbreaking is that? And then also, where do we draw the line then? You say that they can't say this. Then it extends to the books. Then it extends to, it just keeps going. There's no line that can be drawn. It just keep going and going and going and going to some a crazy world that I don't want to live in.
No, not at all, where we can't say a thing about who we are, and our kids can't say anything about who we are. So big win in Florida. So proud of it. And I really, really, my wish is that we can continue that work and again, model it across the nation. And I hope that it also sends a signal that these sorts of things can be fought.
Yeah, because I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know you could sue Florida. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even
know. These wonderful, attorneys and partners who were there during marriage equality too. These are people who are fighting for marriage equality. So if we use that as a model, as these folks use these folks, I'm talking about the other side are people who oppose us, using the same playbook time and time again. I think what they should know historically is that we're going to fight.
Yeah. You mess with the wrong group. That's what I keep coming back to every time something comes up, even in New York City, the stuff that's coming up, like, we're showing up, like you're messing with the wrong community.
Look at how far our community has come.
Yes.
And when you have to live a life of identifying or explaining your identity and who you are from the time you discover it or the time you come out day in and day out, or this, we have to come out almost every day in new spaces, or if it's a new school, new neighbors, family who don't get it the first time. We have to come out over and over again. So that's a strong, damn group of people, resilient people.
That's true. We're used to being forced to show up. Like, we're used to it. Like, we have that muscle. That muscle's inside of us.
We've worked that muscle.
And we're raising humans that understand it, that are empathetic, who might not be LGBTQ. I mean, might not identify, but they are because they're in our community. But like, we are raising these humans to understand the plight and to fight with us.
Oh, yeah.
So watch out.
Yeah. Watch out. These kids are protective over their parents. I love these kids who, like your children and mine, who knows what they'll identify with in the future. But what I do know, and it doesn't matter. That's the other thing. Like, it doesn't matter to us. Just be you. Just be your child.
Yes.
But I tell you, boy, they're protective of their families.
Yeah, they are. And I was protective of my parents growing up too. And now, we're, when your family gets attacked, watch out.
Watch
Watch
out.
out. It's like the gay agenda. This is what they're afraid of. We're
We're gonna
creating
speak
an
out.
army.
An army of outspoken children and
Yeah.
individuals who will continue to fight until we're all free. Period.
Yes. Boom. Mic drop. Yes. James, come on
I can go
now.
home for the day. I'm done.
You're done. Your day here is done. No, it's all so true, and everything you say speaks volumes, and you pack a punch in everything you say, and I really appreciate it. There is some stuff going down in NYC right now. So I live in District 2. Now, District 2 houses Chelsea, Greenwich Village, Hell's Kitchen. So like headquarters of the modern day LGBTQ movement, right? We're in the headquarters, and my kids go to school in Chelsea. District 2, the CEC board, the Community Education Council, which is elected parents from all around this district, recently voted on this anti-trans resolution. Voted 8 in favor, 3 against. What they want is to, because in NYC, I'm sorry, this is a long explanation, but New York City back in 2018 or 2019 revised their gender policies as pertain to sports. So they decided to be inclusive. Children can play on the team that they feel aligns with their gender identity. They made it an inclusive policy, because they know that otherwise we're hurting our children. And this new CEC board, there are issues with the CEC board, and there are ties with some of them with Moms for Liberty. They have infiltrated our CEC board. It's kind of crazy. It was an agenda, and they are working this like right agenda, and there's all these votes coming down that you're just like, what? And the most recent one was they wanted the DOE to look back into that policy and question it and bring on a panel of experts who could advise if this was the right way to go. Because, girls are losing scholarships to college to trans girls.
There's no data that supports that.
Exactly. Thank you so much, James. Exactly. And they're spewing all this insane rhetoric that you hear about all over the place, all the anti-trans rhetoric that you hear. Now they're spewing it here in Manhattan, in Chelsea, of all places.
Of all places.
Right? And it is infuriating. It is crazy. And on this panel that they wanted the DOE to bring in, not a single trans voice.
Why am I not surprised, though? Right. And this is ridiculous. I heard a little bit about this.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because we do sometimes believe that we're protected in our most progressive places. But to your point, they are strategically infiltrating, and they are doing it to further their agenda, even in the most progressive places. And it's really scary.
Yes. Yeah. And my wife has been she's an educator, and she's been in education her whole career, and DOE and all of, in New York City. So she knows the system really well. And when we started catching wind of the new CEC board that had just come in for these elections, and we learned that there was this organization called Place NYC who had a huge, I don't know, not an uprising, but an agenda to get as many of their members onto the CECs across the 5 boroughs as possible. And at this point, after the last election, they make up, I don't know the percentage, but it's like 70% of CEC board members, 60%. I don't even know. I don't know the number. Don't hold me to that. It's a huge number. The people who founded the Place NYC are questionable. One of the people is Maud Marin, who, I don't know if you've heard of Maud, but has been at Moms for Liberty things and has said some really, really awful things about the LGBTQ plus community and trans people in particular. And they are spewing lies to all the parents. They issue letters to the parents with false data, or like data that like says the fact, but keeps out a lot of the important part of the fact, sends it to all the parents, so that the parents, like my wife and I, were aware that this was going on. We were trying to tell parents, but our PTA president is the treasurer of Place NYC. And he is like best friends with all the parents. And so he's sending his letters and he's warning parents about all these terrible things that are happening in the schools and what we have to do to change it. And they just believe him because he's a great guy. And Jaymes, he's a gay single dad.
Okay. And so there, and thank you for saving that for last.
Oh,
I'm not, there's so much to unpack there.
It's a lot.
There's so much to unpack there. And I'm not, and at the same time, I'm not surprised. And I don't want to start solutioning because that's what I'll start doing. Like you and I will start a strategy session here and how we fix all this. What I will say is that I want our community to understand, and our allies and people who, I don't know if you know Evan Wolfson, a brilliant attorney, huge. I won't do justice as like an introduction of him, but huge in marriage equality movement. He founded Freedom to Marry. I was talking to him about all this stuff last year, and he said that there's a community of people that he refers to as the reachable but not yet reached. So the folks who are not really our opposition, but they are being influenced with false facts.
This is my issue. Yes.
Right? So going back to what I'm thinking about, what I was going to say is that, first of all, I need our community, the guy that you just mentioned, to understand that they are, in my opinion, I don't think that they understand the misinformation that they're being fed. Even our own community is being fed misinformation. Mm-hmm. That's number one. So I want people to know that you are being fed information that is fueling an agenda that is not a trans agenda, or that is not, it's an agenda to keep the patriarchy and white supremacy in place.
Yes. 100%.
And so you're not, this is a distraction.
Yes.
That's hurting children. Like, let's put it, here's a distraction that's hurting children, but what is it really doing? Mm-hmm. So I'd love people to do their own research because it's a lot of misinformation. You have to educate yourself on our community, on the trans community, on the data that says that they're losing scholarships. There's no data that
right. There's
says
none.
that.
Google it. You won't find anything.
There's no data that reveals that allowing someone to play sports based on their gender identity is any less effective or hurts anyone else who wants to play sports, right?
And it's also based in a gender bias, and
that's exactly
the patriarchy. Like we could go on and on here.
Going on and on, but that's what it is. This is a distraction. And there's this great book called Who's Afraid of Gender? And definitely look it up. And I'm just and I've always understood that this is about something bigger. But when you connect it to the patriarchy and really what people want to keep in place, the power and structures that they want to be put in place, this is a distraction. And it's a distraction that's hurting our children.
Yes.
And we have to start educating that reachable but not yet reached, those people who are sort of being pulled in either direction. I don't know, the other side is saying this to me, but now they're scaring me and they're stoking fear. Yeah. And, and all the other lies that they're telling them. This is exactly what it is. We have to get to those people. And I think my peers at GLAAD did some type of research. And I think it was that only 30% of Americans know someone who's trans.
Right. I think I saw that. Yeah.
What Sarah Kate says is that we have to fill that. How do we fill that 70% gap? And that's when I think about the reachable but not yet reached, who may not have an opinion on this, but can certainly be influenced by fear, probably.
Yes.
And lies.
Yes.
And that's what is happening.
Yes. And it spreads like wildfire. And I could go on and on.
We need like 3 more hours, right?
Yeah. And it's really scary. And it's, my wife and I have been paying attention for a while and trying to get these unreachable to be reached, who are his friends and, believe all of his facts. And these facts are very scary, and trying to get to them. And it's fallen on deaf ears. It was really an awakening moment for us actually to realize, they don't care about, and this was before the trans thing came in. They don't care. It was about just equality in schools to us. And we started realizing, all of our parent friends who we love, who, we've made really great friends, are not fully aligned with us on our feelings of the need for true equality. And so that was a really hard reckoning, and we were dealing with it and realizing, all right, well, this is something we have to just work with on our own and work to make change on our own. So we were going to all the CEC meetings. My wife spoke at a couple of them, out against the things that they were trying to push, the agendas they were trying to push, and racist agendas, like all kinds of, like everything you're saying. And then finally, when this anti-trans resolution was brought in, the trans community took notice. And that ignited a fire, and people showed up who had never, there was a mob of LGBTQIA plus supporters in that CEC meeting who spoke person after person after person after person about how hateful this is and all the things that are wrong with it. And finally, we had the community that we were like shocked that we couldn't find. So there it is. You fucked with the wrong community, because watch out, because now we're here. Elliot Page has been coming to the CEC meetings.
I heard about that, and that Chase Strangio,
yes,
with the ACLU,
and has spoken, and also Walter. I don't know if you know Walter Masterson.
No,
he's big on TikTok, and he goes into like Trump rallies and he asks them questions. That he's one of those reporters that
I think I've seen him on even YouTube, I believe.
Yes. He comes and he speaks and he does like funny things that make you think, and also like, oh yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
You got them. You know what I mean? So all these people, and it made in the New York Times, the stuff that's going on. So finally, people
level of engagement that we need all the time.
Exactly. And it took that though.
Too.
Yes.
We have to actually start putting ourselves on these school boards.
Yeah.
Run for school board. We have to, like this, what you said is where they had the strategic initiative to place themselves on these boards so they could be the decision makers. And we have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We have to not just show up, but we have to be a sitting voting member on these school boards. And we have to show up in droves, like you just said, with facts, with stories. And I think the other thing is like, what's our argument? Like we have to come up with something new, because what the people are doing is scaring them with that this is going to somehow eliminate your way of life. It's going to somehow diminish your family and the way that you see family, the way that you view you and yourself and your own gender. And they're scaring the hell out of people with, like you said, falsities. And we have to show up, as the community did, every time with facts, with representation, folks like Elliot speaking, and with stories of who we are.
Yes. That
actually can help, really, I think, neutralize the lies that they're telling. And that's
what we're trying to do now. And it's really scary, Jaymes. Like I never went to the PTA meet. I would show up every once in a while because I just assumed, we live in Chelsea. It's everybody feels the same as I do. Nope, they don't. So that was a rude awakening. And so we have been getting more involved. And the PTA meeting is next month, the PTA nominations. And I've made this new group of friends who are all in alignment, these new parents that I didn't know before. And we've been talking, and how do we mobilize, and how do we make sure that there are all voices at the table. And, and then Jaymes, we got an email, because our PTA president knows a lot of people. And I guess he caught wind that we were all talking. It's getting insane. I'm not even lying. I guess he caught wind that we were all talking, and we get an email from another parent that I've never met. I don't know who it is, but it's this parent who accused us all of being extremists. This mother said that my child went to school one day, and one of the other little children said, so-and-so's dad, the PTA president, doesn't like you. I guess that her child identifies as LGBTQIA in some way, possibly on the trans spectrum. I don't know. I don't even know the child.
Right.
And said to this kid, this person doesn't like you because you are who you are. And the child came home crying. And this mother, instead of looking at it and seeing that, no, it's actually the policy that was put into effect that this person voted for that has caused all of this fire to ignite and come back to our children. This is what we're warning people. We are hurting children. Yet this mother felt it's our fault. Right? And so the backwards reasoning that happened in this email, I was like, wait, how are we? I don't even know who you are or your child. I guarantee my 5th grader didn't talk to your 2nd grader. Like,
They're looking for someone else to blame. Well, they're looking to blame our community for every single thing.
right.
And I just think that is, again, part of this of holding on to what they don't want broken down, which is a world with folks like you and me and our kids living freely and talking about race and gender and all the things that make being human beautiful. And
Yeah.
that, like, it's like, la, 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 I don't want to hear that. And
Mhm.
why this scares the hell out of people is because I think they see it as a threat to their own existence, their own life, which is
Right.
just wild. But the one thing I was also going to say is that when we can't connect, when you can't be moved by youth suicide attempts, when you can't be moved by us potentially losing children or the children that we have lost because of policies like this and what we're seeing, I don't know what else will move you, because I often tell people that as a nation that we are responsible, the adults are responsible for protecting our youth. Period. End of story. Whether you understand their identity or not, that is our job as the big people in the room.
Mhm.
And if you are not moved by kids wanting to not be here in their life, then there's some other things that you need to be checking with yourself.
Big time. Big time. And I would go so far as to these people on the CEC board deny that anti-LGBTQ agendas can cause higher suicide rates.
Yeah. So they don't want to look at the data. So I think where we need to go is those people are not movable at all.
Right.
We need our own community, like the father that you're talking about, who's in our community. We need our own community to not fall prey to the narrative. We can't, within our own community, form these hierarchies where we think that trans folks are beneath gay folks or bi folks, or like we have this hierarchy in our community that we don't talk about it a lot. That cannot exist. They built this way that they sort of are dividing us and also trying to take the T away from the LGBT, right?
LGBT, yeah.
Q. You can't do that. So for our own community is to not believe in that hype, because that does not exist. There's no hierarchy. And I also think that if we do that, and let's just say that the worst happens and we don't have a supportive administration, it doesn't matter if you sided with them or not. If you are gay, the policies that they are planning will affect you and your family. So please do not mistake that siding with them now and helping diminish and demolish our community is going to help you. It's not. If you are queer and if you go to project2025.org and look what the Heritage Foundation is planning to do, if you're queer and queer family, doesn't matter that you were on the CEC or that you sided with them. We will all be affected. I'm going to get on the high horse. You better stop me while I'm here. I'm going to get on my soapbox.
Listen, I feel like I could talk to you for hours and then I would have like a plan and I'd be able to, but it's really honestly. I'm just going to start writing up there. It's really, this is all very scary to me because, now I'm being faced with possibly like being a part of the PTA and like speaking. Listen, I can do this. I can do interviews all day. I can be on videos. I can dance. I'm a musical theater thing. That's what I did for, I was a professional. But you asked me to speak and make speeches? Absolutely not. Absolutely. And speak from the heart? No. It's very scary.
But that's a lot of parents. Just know that it's not just you,
right? Yeah,
and I think this is what maybe you're saying. But they feel I am being called to do this now.
Yes,
that I have no other. There are no other. There's no other way.
Yeah,
but that way. And so don't feel alone or bad, because I hear that from a lot of parents. That's not what they do or what they ever thought that they had to do.
Right. And now you've
messed with the wrong community. You've messed with our kids.
Yeah, you don't do that. Don't do that. Right?
No.
It is. It's been a reckoning, and also just confronting my own fear surrounding stepping up. It's interesting. It's really interesting. And when you're faced with, adversity, like how will you really react? Well, here we go.
Here it is.
I've never had to face with it. I've lived in liberal places my whole life. I've never had to deal with this as far as I knew. And now I'm realizing I'm not as strong as I thought I was. I need to step it. You know what I mean? Like I have to really.
Or is it you're not as strong as you thought you were, or you are?
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it that way. I like that way that you said it,
Mm-hmm.
James.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's super scary.
It is. It really is scary. And I think, I want people to know what we're up against. And I don't want people to only think about the doom and gloom, but it is important to know what's going on in your school district, to know that this is freaking Chelsea, like of all places. So to understand that it's not about being in our progressive bubbles anymore, because I don't think a progressive bubble truly exists anymore, because we're seeing this rhetoric and these policies in most progressive places. So know that, let's educate ourselves. And at the same time, let's show them who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
Let's show them where we can, because I know it gets really scary out there. But you and me having this conversation is a way to show people who we really are. Is to talk about our kids in the 4th grade and the hope and all that. This is the life that we want. This is all we're trying to say, is that Jaimie and I want to be able to have 3-hour conversations with whiteboards and talk about 4th and 5th grade strategy. Yes, I lost without fear of any retribution or fear of anyone discriminating against us or telling our kids that they can't be who they truly are.
Or being called rabble-rousers or extremists. For standing up for
standing up for our youth.
Yeah.
And we're being called to stand up for our youth in a very different way. You and I were, I don't know what when you came out or how old you were when you came out. And as you know, I have a kind of a traumatic coming out story at 17, right?
I was in my early 20s, so
but still, and I know how I know I'm getting old just because I'm calling kids in their 20s kids. But to think about that, we have to show up for them in a different way now, whether they are our kids that we're raising or just our youth who need answers right now, who need support.
Yeah, and they do. They really do. Yeah.
And they're being loud too. This generation is Generation Z. They are coming out. They
don't back down. It's great. It's great to see. And also they still need to listen. I'm just going to add that.
I'm so glad you still need to listen. Thank you for saying that.
You still need to listen, y'all. There's still a lot to learn.
Still a lot to learn. Yes.
Believe in life experience a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. We could go on and on, but this is so great. I would strategize with you all day.
But I do believe that as a community, let's strategize. Listen to shows like this. Jaimie, you actually are educating people. I know you kept saying, and I just talk to people. You really are educating people, and the platform that you and your family have created is. If I had that platform, if I had someone like you and your family to look up to. When I was younger, then I would have known the possibilities. I would have understood the possibilities. And so just know that.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, James. And that's the hope, that's the hope. Yeah. And that's the fight we're fighting. And it's just, we just keep going.
We'll keep fighting.
We keep fighting. And it's all about our kids, man.
All about our kids, and their cell phones, but it's all about our kids. Yeah. And we're not going anywhere. So educate yourselves about what the plans are, and their plans to redefine family, and then think about how hard we fought to have our families. I'm not letting anybody redefine family for me.
No, we come a long way. We're not backing down. Yeah, 100%. And I just absolutely love you. I adore you. And now I'm going to keep you posted. Anything that happens, I'm going to let you. I'm going to be like, James, oh my God, the PTA nominations. Like, watch out.
Just send me an email. Absolutely.
I appreciate you so much. I cannot wait to share this.
Thank you for having me again.
Oh my God. Anytime you have something to share, you just come talk to me. I'm here.
Can I pop on the podcast?
Yeah, anytime. Totally. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you so much, Jaimie.
Queer Family Podcast.
Whew. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, feel free to listen to another or watch another. I have so many episodes for your listening or viewing pleasure. Just go pick one and enjoy. There's a lot. There really is. And also, if you really do like this show, please, I know I say it all the time, but please do consider supporting the show on Patreon. You're just going to go to patreon.com/thequeerfamilypodcast. You're going to pick a tier, you're going to join, and you're going to get that bonus content. And you're also going to get my love and adoration for the rest of my life. I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. Keep on tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.